Hello everyone, it's your favorite LTN ripoff here. 100 drops / days / etc is a very entertaining video format. I wouldn't make so many of them if I didn't think that was the case. Luke the Notable, the inventor of the format, of course does them the best, but that doesn't stop dozens of creators from taking their own crack at it. But one thing that I've noticed when looking at fan-made 100 drops or 100 days content is that a lot of people make a lot of the same mistakes that can be pretty easily fixed. So for any aspiring 100 drops creators out there, in this video I'm going to teach you exactly how I make my videos, which in turn I think is a pretty similar process to how Luke makes them, and how to avoid the simple mistakes that plague the fan-made 100 drop scene. The first order of business is to get all the equipment that you need to make a video in the first place. 100 drops videos don't take that much, just a mic and a computer that can run Fortnite or whatever other game you're making a video on, recording software, and editing software. For mics, I just personally use a Blue Yeti, but I wouldn't recommend running this raw. The Blue Yeti picks up a lot of background noise, so for that reason, if you use this mic, you're gonna need some compression and EQ software. I use Voicemeeter for that, and I'll throw my settings in the description. Generally, you just want a mic that doesn't sound awful to listen to for 30 minutes straight. Make sure you have some pop filter though. I literally use an old sock. I should probably invest in a real one soon. As for editing software, I use Premiere Pro, which I definitely 100% paid for and legally downloaded. Generally, anything's fine though. This format doesn't have to be very editing intensive. If you've made it this far, you're ready to start dropping. Pick a location or a challenge or whatever you want to do and just drop there 100 times or 20 times or 365 times and record it into a folder. After each game, label it appropriately. And something you don't have to do, but that I and LTN do after each game, is take down some information about it in a spreadsheet. I record kills, placement, and a quick summary of the game. A lot of the times, I'll literally just use it as a general script for the voiceover. I don't take notes for 20 drops, but trust me when I say it speeds up the process a lot for 100. Once you have all your 100 games, you're ready to crack open your editing software and start the editing process. A nice thing I like to have for some B-roll, some nice replay flyover footage as background for the intro and outro. But you can use gameplay footage or just talk over game one or just do a mix of anything. Intros are very tricky for any YouTube video really. You want to grab viewers' attention while also explaining all the information you need to. I find the sweet spot's 15 to 30 seconds if you want a traditional intro, but spilling a bit of it over into game one or just getting straight to the point works too. The intro style you want will really depend on the video, and all of them are okay. The voiceover though is where a lot of people make most of their mistakes, which is understandable. It's the hardest part of making these videos. The main mistake I see people making, and that I made in my first 100 drops, is leaving far too much dead air between lines. A general rule of thumb is you want to leave as little dead air as sounds natural, unless silence adds to comedic value. Try to commentate over every bit of gameplay. Most people naturally will record their voiceover on a single track, but this makes cutting out dead space between takes a lot harder. So the easiest way to cut dead space is to simply record the voiceover on 2 tracks, alternating the track each line. This way, if there's too much dead space, you can simply just move the tracks, and they'll overlap without cutting off any of the previous line. The hardest part about the voiceover though is pacing. It's very difficult to get right, and it even took me a good while to get good at it. You don't want to drag on with an intro or a game because that will inevitably bore people. A lot of the times I see people try to explain every little thing that happened in a game with excruciating detail. You don't need to do that. Give it as much explanation as it needs for people to understand what's going on, and if the situation lends to it, try to be funny with it. If it's not interesting or funny or useful to make a point, there isn't a need for it to be in the video. I think a lot of people write scripts for the videos, and I think people tend to be a lot more long-winded when they write than when they speak off the cuff. I've never written a script for a drops video. Everything I say is off the cuff or written in the notes immediately after a game ended. I also know this is how Luke does it. If you're not good at coming up with stuff off the top of your head, there's no shame in writing a script, but just try to keep pacing in mind if you're writing one out. Giving yourself a time to shoot for is a good idea to help with pacing. My 20 drops videos are always exactly 10 minutes long, to the frame. No more, no less. I find pacing 20 drops really easy, but 100 drops can vary a lot more. They should range from 20 to 30 minutes, and you should be able to eyeball how long a specific 100 drops will be just from the pacing of the games. That's why I keep placement and kills down. If you live long enough in most of the games and get a lot of kills, it's probably going to be closer to 30. If you die off spawn a lot, it should be closer to 20. I find giving yourself a length that you want the final product to be helps you monitor your pacing and adjust it game to game if you find yourself going too fast or too slow. Another very important thing about voiceovers that I see a lot of people flounder with is don't be afraid to re-record lines if you mess up. If you stutter or you trip over your words or you're just not happy with your intonation, unless it adds to the comedic value, there's no shame in doing another take. I mess up probably 70% of my takes. It's annoying and it's time consuming, but it makes an infinitely better final product. Way too many creators fall into this trap, and it really diminishes the watchability of the video. It also just gives you a chance to improve the wording or intonation of a line if you don't like it. Lesson of the story, do multiple takes. It's worth it. Next thing I want to talk about is the general quality of the commentary. The goal of your content is first and foremost to entertain. have some humor in your commentary.
I come here for the guys who don't know how holes work. And I'm not talking about you who can't find the clip.
Doesn't have to be laugh out loud funny, but you want it to be entertaining and keep the audience's attention. Reoccurring jokes or gags in a video is good. For example, in 20 Drops Greasy Grove, I made a ton of jokes about how awful DJ Yonder's were at the game, then ran into another DJ Yonder doing DJ Yonder things. It keeps the video connected and grounded as a self-enclosed work. Additionally, a very overlooked but important aspect of the voiceover process is to connect the voiceover to the events happening in the video. It's not enough to just describe what's happening in the gameplay. It's important for beats and emphasized words in your commentary to line up with events in the gameplay. For example, if you say in your video, "And then I was sniped," the word sniped should line up in the video with the sniper shot hitting your body. In general, if there's a word that's emphasized in the line, it should correspond to some event happening in the video. This intertwines the commentary with the video and just makes it generally more interesting to watch. It's a very small detail, but one that really brings up the quality of the video. But yeah, that's pretty much everything you need to know before voicing over a 100 Drops video. And that's really the only hard part about editing one. They're not hard videos to make. They're really just time consuming. If you took good notes, all you have to do is find what you're talking about in them and cut everything else out. You should make the game text when you make the project, then just stretch it out for however long you want the video to be. It's also just a good way to visualize the length and how much you've done. Every time you drag in a new game, just cut it up and change the number. Extremely easy. Just please, for the love of God, don't use a shitty font. Use something bold with a thick outline. Add some drop shadow if you want. It looks a billion times better than if you just use Arial or whatever. I personally use Burbank Big Condensed Black, which is just the font of the Fortnite logo, but any bold font will do. Once you're done with the voiceover, it's probably a good idea to add on some extra compression and noise reduction if there's still some background noise. This is the compression settings I do in Premiere, and the noise reduction varies with how much of a bitch my PC fans decide to be that day. Then if you want, you can add some transitions between clips. I just like a trusty crossfade and any other minor edits or color grading you want to do. Then, once you export, it's thumbnail making time. I make my thumbnails in Photoshop, which I once again acquired very legally. I draw the art using my iPad and Easy Canvas to connect to my PC. But if you don't know how to draw, it's fine. It's a thumbnail. Get creative with it. Just again, for the love of all that is holy and good, use a bold font. So congratulations, you have now made a Drops video. Do you feel alive yet? I expect this video to get like no views, but hey, I think it'll be useful. I know a handful of other 100 Drops creators watch my videos, so I hope this video can help them to make even better content, and maybe inspire some others to try their hand at it. And if you are watching this far, maybe consider hitting the subscribe button. As a small creator that doesn't upload very often, it helps me out a ton. As demonstrated in this video, I put a lot of care and effort into every video I make. Thank you for watching, I'll see you soon, goodbye.